Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Namisha and we have Shaima as our co-host today. So Shaima, can you kindly introduce yourself first?
Yes, thank you, Namisha. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's workshop. My name is Shaima. I'm a junior psychologist working at Mind Tribe, and I'll be a co-host for today. And I'll be addressing all of your queries in the chat box. And thank you all for joining in, and hoping for a very interactive session. Over to you, Namisha.
Thank you for that introduction, Shaima. So hello everyone. Let's begin and good afternoon. I'm so glad you could join today's session on the science of safe spaces, how belonging protects your brain. So, this isn't going to be a boring lecture, it would be interactive. We'll have relatable scenarios, quizzes, and activities as well. So, is that clear? Can I see a few thumbs ups before we move on? All right, guys, thank you for reacting. So, today we'll explore why safe spaces matter for our brain and body, and what unsafe spaces do to us, and how you can build and be someone's safe space. So, let's begin. So, like any safe space, we start with few ground rules. Think of them as white check of this session. So, first is confidentiality. What's shared here stays here. Respect, no judgment, and no mocking. No gossip or intimidation. And use the raise hand button if you want to unmute yourself and speak. And when leaving, just say bye. It makes this feel more like a room and less like a webinar. So, why do we need this? Because rules set the tone. That's how we build trust, even though it's online. All right. So, next is disclaimer. I know disclaimers can sound boring, but this one's important. Please don't record or screenshot this session. We want everyone to feel open to share without worrying. So, kindly no recording or capturing of the session is allowed, it's strictly prohibited. Let's begin. So, first, we'll begin with a quick icebreaker in or out. So, let's loosen up with a quick game. So, I'll read out a few situations for you all, and you'll have to type in if it makes you feel included, or type out if you would feel excluded in that situation. So situation one is your friend saves your favorite snack from a party. Now would you feel included in or out in the situation? Let's be interactive and we all can put in our answers in the chat box down there. Okay, I see a few thumbs ups. Okay, perfect. Thank you for responding. Absolutely. And situation two is your message is left on scene for days. How would you feel? Included or excluded? Absolutely. Yes. Perfect. Now situation three is where your opinion is asked in a group discussion. Right. Correct. All right. Now, situation number four is a colleague remembers your birthday and brings a cake for you. How would that make you feel? In right, absolutely. It would make you feel good, right? And the last situation is everyone makes plans in front of you but doesn't invite you. All right, all right. See, so these little things, just like snacks, texts, or invitations, can make us feel valued or rejected. And that's how sensitive our brains are to belonging. So, this is what our session is all about today. So, I hope you got a glimpse of it. Now, moving on, why safe space matters at first. So, belonging isn't just about being there, it's a biological need. So, think about it. So, why does it hurt when a friend ignores your call? Or why does it feel so good when someone says, I have saved a seat for you? So, science and research says that exclusion activates the same brain regions just like the physical pain. That's why breakups or rejection literally hurts, and we can feel this in our bodies too. So, safe space matters because they protect us from this pain and unlock our ability to think, grow, and thrive. For instance, when you are in college and suppose you walk into a classroom where a friend waves at you to sit beside him. Now, that one wave can completely shift the day, isn't it? You can put in the thumbs up if you are able to relate to the scenarios here. All right, guys, thank you so much for responding. Absolutely. Right. So let's move on. Let's get into little bit of science now. I promise it will not be boring. Our brains has a survival alarm system which is called the amygdala. So when you are excluded from that group or from a situation, it fires up, and it starts flooding you with fear signals. That's why your heart races or your stomach drops when you feel left out in the group. Yeah, can we please mute ourselves? Right. So next is the prefrontal cortex, the logical part. So it switches off when the amygdala takes over. So you might have experienced this, right? Sometimes you just can't think straight when you are in embarrassing situations or in an unsafe situations. So that's prefrontal cortex. Next is oxytocin. It is the bonding hormone. So it rises in safe spaces. Think of it as hugs or laughter, teamwork. And lastly is the hippocampus. So these stores the experiences, shaping how safe or unsafe you expect the world to be. So safe spaces aren't just the nice vibes. They are literally, they can change your brain chemistry in real. For example, have you ever texted in a group and no one replied? You check again and again, then it's your amygdala screaming. Now, let's see another situation where your friend immediately sends a laughing emoji. That's oxytocin that's calming you down. So, it's the brain chemistry that differs. It literally changes when you feel included in a place and excluded in another social setting. So moving on, what safe, unsafe spaces looks like. Okay, we'll be honest. Let's be honest. We all have been in unsafe spaces, but sometimes we don't even realize how much they affect us until later. So unsafe spaces usually have these four big patterns which we can look into. So first one is judgment and criticism. For instance, let's say a teacher says that this is such a silly question. Why would you even ask that? Now instead of learning, you just shut down there, right? Or even in friendships, someone constantly points out your flaws disguised as jokes like haha you are so dumb sometimes. That's not banter, it's erosion of safety. So these are the judgment and criticism which makes the space feel unsafe for you. And next is the microaggressions. These are subtle but very sharp, like saying you don't look depressed, you're smiling, or maybe a statement like oh you're just too sensitive for this. They make people feel unseen and dismissed. So understanding the microaggressions and observing where are these occurring in your daily life is very important. And next is the exclusion. So think about school or college. Remember when friends groups made plans right in front of you but didn't invite you? That invisible wall can hurt more than a fight. And lastly, it is the competitive comparison. So in workplaces or even in families, this we all might have experienced this, I guess. So we might have heard something like, okay, look at your cousin, they're doing so much better than you. So constant comparisons like this, it builds pressure rather than growth. So, understanding these different characteristics of unsafe spaces can make you realize that that space is not for you and you can move out. So, it's important that you understand what is safe and unsafe social setting for you. Take a minute and recall a time where you felt unsafe in a group. So, not physically unsafe, but socially or emotionally unsafe. How did your body react? Was it tensed? Did it went numb? Or did overthinking spiraled up? So now, why does this matters? First, can we just put down our responses in the chat box? Like, when was the last time you felt unsafe in a social situation? Or would anyone like to share any of their experiences? You're free to do that. You can take your time and think of any situation. Okay, Janvi says when people say something unpleasant, absolutely, I get that. Yes, Prasanth, you can unmute yourself. Do you want to share anything with us? Okay, no problem. Any other responses, or does anyone want to share any situation here? Okay, I see a few responses down there. Okay, Arundhati says, when a good friend abuses, all right, I get that. When I want to share something with people and they don't acknowledge, that's a very important factor. Yes, and I think it's when my good friend invited their friend whom I don't like because I feel like I can't be myself in front of them. Exactly, absolutely. In our day-to-day lives, we are seeing or being in a lot of unsafe situations which are not emotionally healthy for us. Okay, Kritika says when a close friend excludes you from plans. Absolutely, I get that, how hurtful that can be. Right. So, this is something which happens in our day to day life, and we don't even realize that. All right, moving on. Okay, Japi says when people change over time. Absolutely, I get that. It can be hurtful, and we don't realize that over time. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for responding. Now, moving on. This is a very important slide here because here's something wild. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between real exclusion and imagined exclusion. For example, you see your friends post photos online. Now, they never said that you weren't invited, but your brain, it likes to fill in the gaps. So it fills in the gap that they must have left me out. They wouldn't want me to join in. And even if later you find out that you were invited, the damage is already done. So that is why overthinking can feel exhausting. You're living the real pain from the imagined scenarios. So we'll get into science here again a little bit. The amygdala and the pain centers in your brain, it just fires up. Whether the exclusion is real or you're just imagining it, it doesn't matter. So it explains why social anxiety spirals. So we many of us might also have the social anxiety, like not very comfortable in the social situations because of this overthinking and anxiety spirals, that what if they don't like me, or what if they're talking about me, because your brain reacts as if it's already happening. Your brain can't differentiate between whether it's real or the imagined threat, right? So moving on, again, a very important slide. Now, what exactly safe spaces looks like? So instead of now, let's flip it. What do safe spaces looks like? So instead of saying "don't cry," it's not a very big deal. Safe spaces say, "I can see this is tough for you." So this is empathy and validation. Example: a friend maybe notices that you're quiet and asks, "Do you want to talk about it?" That's empathy. Right. And second is active listening. Okay, so think about when someone actually listens to you without checking on their phones or without rolling their eyes off. You feel like your words matter. So you would want to share more. A safe space is where people don't just hear for the sake of hearing it, they actually listen. And third one is mutual respect. So boundaries here are respected. So if you say I can't talk right now, the other person doesn't guilt trip about you. They doesn't make you feel uh, harsh for saying no. So that's how mutual respect works. Respect works. It's very important aspect to feel safe in a situation. Now, lastly, it's inclusion. So, safe spaces actively makes space like, hey, we are making plans. Do you want to join in? Statements like these can make you feel included. Or even in classroom, when a teacher says, "We haven't heard from you yet. Want to share anything?" That's inclusion in action. So, inclusion and these things can make you feel welcomed and warm in a situation, in the place that you are in. Now, moving on, here's a quick checklist for everyone. So, here's how you will know that you are in a safe space or not. So, first one is, it's okay to make mistakes without being shamed. So, mistakes aren't shamed here. Just like a teacher saying, "Good attempt, let's figure it out together, no problem." Or, second is, people actually listen when you speak. No eye rollings or no cutting you off in between. And third is, emotions are accepted. So crying isn't treated as weakness. You are able to be vulnerable, be yourself. And the next one is, you can say no and people actually respect it. Next is, you don't have to hide your identity just to fit in a group. And next is, you can be vulnerable without fear of judgment or without fearing what would other people think of you. Lastly, feedback, it comes with kindness, not criticism. Feedbacks comes with a lot of respect and just a intention to actually give a good feedback in order for other people to improve, and not something like leg pulling. So these are a few checklists which you can look into to understand whether you are in a safe space or not. And also count on your fingers how many of these do you experience in your main social circle, be it your school, your workspace, or friends. And you guys can type your number in the chat box down there. And it's okay if it's less than 3, don't worry. This workshop is also about how you can create safer spaces. So yes, we can type down in the chat box how many of these are being done, or how many of these out of 7 are being met in your case. Let's be interactive and make the session fun. Okay, Kanvi says zero. All right. That's disappointing, but don't worry, we'll figure this out. Vandana says three. All right. Come on, we can share our answers here. This is your safe space. Anugya says five. Great. Kritika says one. All right. Riddhi says three. Okay, Kashish says two. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for responding and being interactive. Now, let's move on. So, here's a quick guided visualization. Let's do a quick experiment here. So, wherever you are, if that's possible for you, you can just close your eyes for 30 seconds. And if you're comfortable, you can take your time and just close your eyes. Now imagine you're walking into a room where people are whispering and laughing as soon as you enter. Now your stomach tightens, you shrink, you don't feel welcome there, you don't feel respected and valued there. No one is waving at you, no one is even treating you when you are entering the room. How does that make you feel? Now imagine you're walking into another room where as soon as you enter, someone smiles at you. They wave at you and says, "Hey, come sit here." And now your shoulders drop, you feel lighter, you feel warm, you feel welcome there. Now you can just open your eyes and notice the difference. That's how powerful spaces are. Your body and brain responds very instantly. Absolutely. It feels good. This shows why designing safe spaces isn't just about comfort, it's about survival and thriving. Yes, it feels very real. So, we'll get into features of safe spaces first. So, what are few features that create safe spaces? It can be warm lighting or calm voices which signals comfort to you. It can be eye contact from someone. It could be healthy boundaries. It could be encouragement instead of criticism that builds confidence. Or respecting personal spaces and boundaries tells your brain that you're safe here, you're being respected, your boundaries are set here. So these are few features. Even small things matters like a smile or an eye contact or just saying that I hear you, right? So quick a quick scenario, like think about your favorite cafe or your hangout or your favorite hangout spot. It probably feels safe not because of the chairs there, but because of how people treat you there, or how the lightning there is, or how the colors are comforting you there, right? So everyone has their own idea or own definition of what safe space is to them. Now, it's an interesting activity. Your turn now. Just grab a pen or open your notes app, and you can take 5 minutes, design your own space here. So, think of any colors that can make you feel lighter. It can be bright colors, soft colors, calming colors. It totally depends on you. Uh, Sounds like music or silence. It varies from person to person. Yes, Japesh. It can be blue for you, it can be some different color for everyone. So you can put all those colors down there and you can think of few people. It can be your friends, it can be family, or even pets, which can make you feel safe. You feel good around them. It can also be a few words, affirmations, or the values or ethics that you hold by, or any quote or any statements that make you feel good, that make you feel calm and safe. Right. So you can just grab a pen, paper, few colors if that's possible. You can do it on your notepad too, in a digital format too, and just create and design your safe space so that you are now aware what your safe space looks like and you can go run towards it when you are not feeling that way. It's important because being aware what your safe space is, it can help you out. So yes, you can take few minutes, design your safe space, and you can maybe even share it with us. Okay, Kritika says sunlight and plants, perfect. Anshul says pets, green, right. Okay, Japesh says my safe place is being around the people who matter the most. Absolutely. Grass sounds and soft music, right? You can just note all these things down or just design a room for yourself, design a place. It can be cafe, it can be garden, it can be sunset at a beach, anything which makes you feel safe with different elements in there, maybe your favorite people around. You can just have a vision of what your place is like. Your bed, absolutely. It is nature, books, and favorite people. All right. So once you're done with it, you can show thumbs up so that I know and we can move forward. All right. Does anybody who wants to share any experience or um, share what they have created? You can feel free to do that. All right. So moving on. Right. So, belonging and self esteem. So, let's talk about something close to all of us, which is belonging and self esteem. Here's a very simple truth: safe spaces is equals to self growth. You feel accepted, so you open up. You build trust and emotional safety. You express yourself without fear of any judgment. And over time, your confidence and resilience grow. So, this is what happens when you are in a safe space. Now, when you are in unsafe spaces is equals to self doubt. So you feel constantly excluded, and that makes you believe that I am not good enough, or you withdraw. You start withdrawing and stop speaking up. You fear judgment, so you hide parts of yourself. You're not being yourself. You don't open up in an unsafe space, and your self-worth, it slowly erodes, it slowly starts decreasing. So this is what happens if you stay in an unsafe spaces for a very long period of time. It's very constant. So again, think back to school or college. Now imagine there are two students, both are giving a wrong answer. So, in a safe classroom, the teacher says, "Good try, let's work it out together next time." That student will now keep participating and will not hesitate before giving a wrong answer. He would not think that, okay, it can hurt me or anything, something on those lines. And in an unsafe classroom, the teacher says, seriously, you don't even know this. And now that student, he says silent for the rest of the year. He or she wouldn't like to participate. They would fear the consequences. So this is what happens in an unsafe space. So one wrong answer and two very different journeys. So here's a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this was designed by a very popular psychologist, Abraham Maslow. So according to him, this is how the human needs are arranged in a pyramid form. So at the bottom are the psychological needs first, like shelter, food, water, sleep. These are the basic psychological needs which a person needs. If these needs aren't met, a person can't focus on anything else. He would be somewhere here. So once those are satisfied, then people move on to next. Then people move on to safety, which is protection, stability, health, job security. For example, someone with a stable job, and safe home feels more secure than someone who's constantly worrying about dangers or finances. Next is love and belonging, the need for friendships, family, close emotional relationships, close connections. Humans, they want to feel accepted and connected. Without this, loneliness sets in. So, this is the third stage of the pyramid and human needs, which is love and belongingness, which we are talking about today. So, after connection comes in self esteem. So, the desire, so this is the fourth stage of human needs. The desire for respect, recognition, confidence, maybe achievements or praise and status gives people a sense of value, a sense of achievement, and a sense of self worth. So, that will only happen when the third stage is completed, which is love and belonging. So, somewhere where you are feeling belonged, somewhere where you can be your true self, you long for connections. So if that need is met, only then this fourth stage of self-esteem comes in. So now we can clearly understand where we are in terms of this pyramid in this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So it's very important that the topic that we are discussing today. Now, moving on to the next slide, which is what safe spaces unlocks. So, when you feel safe, your brain literally flips into the growth mode. Here's what that unlocks. So, first is emotional regulation. You bounce back faster from stress or any situation that you're in. For example, when your best friend comforts you after an embarrassing moment or a very bad situation, you recover quicker than if you were alone. It's tough dealing with things alone, right? So, second is creative expression. You share wild ideas without fear. An example would be around close friends, you are hilarious, you're funny, but around strangers, you're quiet. That's because safety, it also frees your creativity. And third is openness to feedback. So, instead of defense, you listen. So, in an unsafe space, you might feel that why are you attacking me? Why are you saying me this? And in a safe space you would take it in a way that thank you, that helps me improve. Your feedback, it truly matters. Now lastly, it is confidence to risk and grow. You try new things, for instance joining a dance group or speaking in class, starting a YouTube channel. Now here in safe spaces, risks, it feels possible because mistakes won't cost you your acceptance. Right. Now we can take it in a way that think of your brain like a plant. Unsafe spaces is equals to harsh sun and no water. The plant just tries to survive. It is in the survival mode. Now in safe spaces where there is enough amount of sunlight and care, the plant blooms. So think of yourself as a plant who is in an unsafe environment and the safe environment and how the consequences would be. In first situation, it would be you just trying to survive. It would be you just trying to fit in. And in second case, it would be you blooming or blossoming. So that's why it's very important what kind of spaces that you are in. It literally decides what you would be as a person. Now moving on, it's a very quick guide of how can you become someone else's safe space. Now here's the magic. You don't need a fancy degree or leadership role to create safety. You can be someone's safe space just by small actions like listen to understand and not reply. Instead of cutting someone off mid-sentence, to letting them finish even if you disagree. Now, not interrupting or fixing immediately, from don't worry, it's not a big deal. to saying that sounds tough, I hear you. Accepting emotions without judgment, like from why are you crying again to it's okay to cry, I'm here, right? Respecting boundaries from come on, just say yes to I understand, no pressure. Things like these can literally help someone around you feel more safer when they are with you. Now, a quick story time. So, once a friend of mine told me that she was anxious, and my instinct was to just fix it immediately. So, I said that don't stress, everything's fine, that's okay. And she just immediately shuts down. And next time, now I ask, that sounds tough. Want to talk? I'm here. And I could see the difference that the whole body language it differed. It went relaxed and she started opening up more. So yes, these little things it makes a huge difference. So a question for you all: what's one small action you can do this week to make someone feel safer with you? So it could be anything. You can type one word in that chat box down there. Like, what can you do to be someone else's safe space? Nikita says, listen. Absolutely. Anchal says, uh, being available. Absolutely, that's great. Kanvi says, listen to understand. Right. Vandana says, just be there in silence, listening to them. Absolutely. Nikita says, being reliable. Japi says, not interrupt when someone speaks. Totally. Right. Uh, okay. So Zubia says, do we even need to be someone's safe space? Why do we carry their burden of emotions which triggers ours? This is a very deeper thing. So now we are just talking about little small gestures which can help people around you feel better with you, feel safer around you. So yeah, Kanvi says, don't fix, all right. Kashish says, take your time, I'm here only. Right. Respecting boundaries, listening without judging. Okay, making time for each other, just sitting and listening and try to be supportive as possible. Absolutely. With complete kindness to make them feel safe, secure, bonding with them and reminding them you are safe. Absolutely, Janvi. Thank you for all the beautiful responses. I hope that we can become someone else's safe space and also create our own safe spaces. Now, moving on to the affirmation cards. So let's rewire our brains with affirmations. Say these out loud, or at least you can whisper them to yourself that I am safe to be myself, I belong here, I deserve kindness. Now, these aren't just cheesy, they are medicine. So, if for years you have heard the opposite, so mostly it might be this case for all of us that you're too much, you don't fit in, you're this, you're that, and XYZ. These words start rewiring the script. So you can keep this affirmation cards wherever it's very accessible for you. It can be also your phone cover or anywhere, your work desk, somewhere where you are able to see it regularly. So it starts rewiring your brain and make you feel safe within yourself first. Right. So here's your challenge for the week. Do one small thing to make someone feel seen and safe around you. An example would be maybe saving a seat for someone, or texting a friend, hey, just thought about you, or inviting someone into a group chat, or maybe saying, I get you, instead of just going into the advice giving mode. Now, why it matters? Because safety, it spreads when you give it. People just pass it on. So, yeah, moving on. There's a quick case study in here. I'll just quickly read it out. Maya is a 26-year-old working at a marketing firm. In meetings, her ideas are often interrupted. Her team leader jokes about her being too sensitive. She's excluded from after work gatherings, and over time, she becomes quiet, anxious, and start doubting herself. You can just take a moment and read it again if you want to. Okay, I hope you are done with reading the case study. So, we'll do a little brainstorming here. So, what signals made Maya's workplace feel unsafe? Why do you think that is an unsafe space for her? Neglect, yeah. Exclusion, perfect. Judgment, right, Kanvi. Being not included, right. Criticism, being judged. Okay, judgment, absolutely. Perfect, perfect. Now, how might this affect her brain and behavior over time? Now, imagine she's working in this firm for a longer period of time, maybe say 5 years, 10 years, then how this might affect her in the long run. What do you think? How can this affect her behavior as well? Okay, I see a lot of responses. Lots of assumptions, anxious, distressed, self doubt, absolutely. Low self esteem, she will prefer more silence, absolutely. She will withdraw herself. Withdraw, yeah, that was the thing I was looking for. Trust issues, isolated. Right, now, what small changes could make this space safer according to you? Kanvi says blank, low confidence, low self esteem, not able to express overthinking. Absolutely, that's perfect. She will start hating the job. Right. Alright. Now, what small changes could be done to make this a safer space for her? Okay. Thank you all for responding. Listening to her opinion, being able to speak up without judgment, assertive communication, absolutely. Giving chance to speak freely without judging, yes, acknowledgement, giving her a way to let her express, considering her opinions, acknowledging her work, absolutely. Great answers, everyone. Great job, great job. Right. Thank you all for participating and responding. That will boost her spirits. Absolutely. Next, there's a quick quiz. Now you need to say whether this is a safe space or not because we're almost towards the end of it. So, time for a lightning quiz. I'll read a statement. So, you can just type in the answers in the chat box. It's okay, everyone makes mistakes. So, what do you think? Perfect. Yes, this is a safe space. Right. Now, why are you always so emotional? Absolutely. Perfect. Perfect. Now, a leader asks, what do you need to feel supported today? If someone says you that, perfect. Right. Now, next, eye rolls during someone's presentation. Absolutely no, a big no. Right, that's unsafe. Right. Lastly, openly sharing pronouns during introductions. Right, absolutely. So, good job, guys. You all did a very great job. Now, we'll end it on a short closing message. So, when we feel safe, our brains stop surviving and start thriving. So, belonging isn't optional, it's biological. We are wired for connections as humans because we also saw this in the Maslow's hierarchy of need, that it is the basic human need, feeling loved or feeling belonged there. So, whether you're building friendships or joining teams or leading in future, remember your words, your actions, your presence can be someone's safe space, right? So there is a short YouTube video, but as we are running out of time, I will just share the link in the chat box down here. Right. Thank you, Shaima. So you can just go through this video if you want to. Moving on. So I want to leave you with this quote by a psychologist, which says, safety is not the absence of threat, it is the presence of connection. Yeah. So that is it for today. And thank you so much for being here. Remember, you deserve safe spaces. You can create them for yourself and you can be one for others as well. So, thank you so much again for joining in and being such a great audience. Goodbye and have a great day. Thank you. You can now feel free to drop off.